It's time for another blistering report from the front lines of the cultural war for a constitutional America. And now, here's your host, Charles Benninghoff.
Every single American is victimized by so-called sanctuary cities, whether he or she knows it or not. The police chiefs and sheriffs who protect illegal aliens from federal deportation are actually committing multiple federal crimes. Today, I want to propose a new federal-level strategy to bring these perverse police chiefs under control. Let's call it the Police Chief Control Act, PCCA for short, Police Chief Control Act, which calls for the arrest and imprisonment of every command-level law enforcement officer, such as a police chief or county sheriff, who is currently breaking the federal law by making his jurisdiction a safe zone for illegal aliens and who refuses after fair warning to comply with our federal laws. We'll just refer to this whole cabal as the Perverse Police Chiefs. Perverse Police Chiefs. They're perverse because they flout the law, and the law is applicable to them. They're Americans too. You know, the massive and unknown number of illegal aliens inside the United States actually hurts all of us. It's proven that they drive down wages for all Americans. They take away our jobs. They take away the jobs of our youth. They especially take away the jobs from inner city residents, and those inner city residents need work. Illegals are a massive drain on the welfare system. The welfare services they take out in disproportionate amounts, and citizen taxpayers are on the hook for all of that. This effectively makes you a slave if you have to pay taxes. Everyone pays taxes. And you know what? We're slaves because we have to pay taxes that will in turn be used to pay for housing, medical care, education, food stamps, and more for a person who does not even belong in this country in the first place. Under current laws passed the last 8 years, these illegal aliens are better off than you and I are as American citizens. That's wrong. By the way, as far as I know, I was the only person the week after the election to point out that Donald Trump actually won the popular vote. If you subtract all the illegal alien and foreigners who voted in sanctuary cities. You can see this on my YouTube channel. The video now has some 17,000 views. You have to ask yourself a very big and important question. How is it possible that so-called sanctuary cities exist in America in the first place? Why do police chiefs, who are sworn to uphold the law, in fact break the law in favor of globalist agendas that actually destroy America's borders? Well, I think the answer is pretty clear, and I'm going to be examining this very issue over the next few weeks, starting with this video. Not many Americans have probably heard of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, or IACP for short. It sounds just like some other public sector labor union, but what most people don't realize is the IACP has worked hand in hand with the United Nations since at least 1999. The IACP, which most of the police chiefs in America belong to, is a globalist United Nations organization. And these people who are globalists are dedicated to the breakup of the nation states. Now, I, as a combat veteran, I swore to defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States against all threats, foreign and domestic. And I'm doing that. I'm doing that with every one of these videos. They're not going to beat us veterans, and they're not going to beat us Americans. These globalists, with the first step of Trump winning the presidency, are doomed. But it will take perseverance to make sure that these perfidious people are defeated, and defeated permanently. In fact, every year since 1999, America's perverse police chiefs, who are members of the IACP, have been attending international conferences in foreign countries. Not many here in the United States, just foreign venues. You have to ask yourself why. Have you ever wondered why the Trans-Pacific Partnership meetings, the Global Warming Treaty meetings, the United Nations Small Arms Treaty meetings, and all those other meetings that take place in foreign countries are done there? Because the globalists, such as your own perverse police chiefs, don't want you to find out what they're up to. So the IACP, which virtually every sanctuary city police chief belongs to, in my opinion, has been co-opted and taken over by the globalists who support open borders and destruction of the United States Constitution. They want the United States to be an unincorporated county in the United Nations. That's why sanctuary cities exist in America, even though sanctuary cities are illegal, which I'll explain in a moment. It's the globalists, dummy. It's not a thing to do with humanitarian reasons. It has a thing to do solely with wanting to destroy the United States of America and using the empathy of Americans who are very empathetic and charitable people to do it. And they're going to use that empathy as a knife to strike our hearts out if we let them. Well, this is a huge issue, and I'm going to be exploring it and exposing it to the light of day over the next few weeks. So please hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date. YouTube will send you a quick reminder on your mobile device every time I produce a new video on this subject. So let's dive into the details and connect some dots. I'm known as a dot doctor, so I'm going to connect those dots for you now. And I'll let you know how you can demand America First justice against the perverse police chiefs who are currently masquerading as law enforcement officers and who feel they owe illegal aliens their loyalty, not us Americans. Federal immigration law is specifically written so that local police officers and sheriff's deputies are force multipliers. In other words, a local cop in a sheriff's office, they're looked at by the federal law as an adjunct of federal power. The federal law refers to them as force multipliers because our federal cops are supposed to be restricted in number, and we're supposed to have the federalist approach with local control insofar as possible. But if it's going to be rendered impossible due to an invasion of our police departments by globalists, they have to be taken care of. The Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, otherwise known as ICE, simply does not have enough officers to keep up with the flood of illegal aliens coming into the country. That's why we rely on sheriffs and police chiefs, the perverse police department. So federal law is specifically written with the idea that if a local cop arrests someone and discovers that person is not in the country legally, the cop has to turn over that information to ICE, and the ICE operatives will then take it over. And I have the links to these statutes on today's action page. So don't take my word for it. It's all there in black and white. Just go to our action page and read the statutes for yourself. In a short bit, Bob Mallory will have instructions on how you can get to our action page. First, there is the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996. This act says, and I quote, "Federal, state, or local government entity or officials may not prohibit or in any way restrict any government entity or official from sending to or receiving from the Immigration and Naturalization Service information regarding the citizenship or immigration status, lawful or unlawful, of any individual." In plain English, that means sanctuary cities are illegal under federal law because they act to impede the operation of federal law. Police chiefs and sheriffs cannot, by law, prevent their employees from turning over the immigration status of a suspect to ICE. But they do, because they're globalists. They are globalists, and that is more important to them than defending and protecting the Constitution of the United States. That's why we have to enact this set of laws to stop them. And as well, here's the rub. Just like Obama and Clinton think they're above the law because they're answering to a higher calling, globalism, and unifying the world as one big nation under the United Nations Charter, so too do our perverse police chiefs. This is what they think. They are answering to a higher call in their minds than the United States Constitution. You see, the perverse police chiefs can keep their own email servers in their closets at home. They can ignore laws like Obama does. And under the prior regime run by socialists like Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, and Obama, they can do whatever the hell they want to do. Well, the time has come to end this. And the end of this is now with our plan. My job in this whole program is to shed light on this rationale so the Trump administration can see clearly what is happening. Your job is to help in this effort so the perverse police chiefs will all comply with the law or be thrown into federal prison. Even though the Bill Clinton administration, the George W. Bush administration, and the Barack Hussein Obama administration have all refused to enforce that law for 20 years, I am certain it will be enforced under President Trump's administration. Another federal law that can be found in the Federal Code in Section 18 U.S.C. 1324 is entitled Bringing in and Harboring Certain Aliens. That law states that if any person, and that includes our own perverse police chiefs, if any person knows that an alien is unlawfully in the country and they conceal, harbor, or shield that alien from detection, that person faces a fine and federal prison time. For example, let's take a look at the police chief of San Francisco, the villainous, perverse guy that he is. You no doubt remember the Kane Steinle incident, and she was murdered by an illegal alien in 2015. This illegal alien shot her dead on a San Francisco pier right in front of her father. He had been deported at least 5 times, and he came back to the United States, specifically to San Francisco, because he knew it was a sanctuary city. Well, the San Francisco chief of police is eligible for 20 years in federal prison under current law because he harbored an illegal alien who committed a violent act against an American. Sanctuary cities are illegal under federal law, and the perverse police chiefs who prevent law-abiding officers from turning illegals over to ICE are guilty of harboring illegal aliens, but the laws are not enforced. So, let's talk about the enforcement of our act. Let's call for Congress to appoint a special counsel to start enforcing the law against the police chiefs who are unlawfully harboring illegal aliens. These arrogant and criminal sheriffs and chiefs are a stain on all legitimate law enforcement officers. Many of them are doubling down and claiming they plan to defy the federal government when Donald Trump is sworn in, as I mentioned before. Well, if you don't live in California or New Jersey or one of the other states that are notorious for sanctuary cities, you might just think this issue doesn't affect you, but it does. You need to speak out. Everyone in America is paying for this outrageous waste of taxpayer funds and the erosion in the rule of law. The rule of law needs to be equally applied to all. I predict that California will go broke eventually because of sanctuary city policies. Why? Not because of the federal law alone, but because of the perversity it introduces to the state. A huge population sucking welfare off of the workers. And you know what? Virtually all of them came from south of the border. Well, when that happens, the states that go broke will come running to the federal taxpayers, begging for a bailout. Your federal taxes will have to go up in order to pay the piper on this issue. So you can't hide from this or ignore it. It's going to hit you eventually right between the eyes. Sanctuary cities endanger all Americans, and they make you an indentured servant, a virtual slave to the state in order to pay for the massive welfare costs of illegal aliens. You can go to our action page and send personalized letters to Congress. It's a very simple process, and it makes a huge impact. Just in the past 2 weeks, we pressured the House and the Senate to pass a temporary stopgap budget, which funds the government only through March. Our grassroots pressure worked, and now instead of paying for Barack Obama's $4 trillion budget request for the year 2017, the incoming Trump administration will be able to set more reasonable spending priorities according to its desires. Our system really works when American patriots like you get involved. Demand that representatives and senators appoint a special counsel to prosecute the perverse police chiefs who are ruining this country by running sanctuary cities. The laws to do this are already on the books. All we need is a special counsel with the guts to put America first and uphold the law. Get rid of the globalist police chiefs. So stay tuned. We have instructions from Bob Mallory for you on the next screen that will tell you how to get to our action page. This is Charles Benninghoff signing off and wishing you freedom, fulfillment, and God's many blessings. Plus asking you to pray that our plans in this area come to fruition. We must begin to return the rule of law, God's law, to our great country.
Tell Congress to support and pass the Police Chief Control Act. If you're on our action page on our website, use the form next to the video screen to select a program. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the icon appearing now to find a link to our action page, or check the video's description to find the link. Speak out today.